Okay. Hi, everyone. Martin here. I'm here with Christopher S. Penn, and we are going to talk a little bit about AI for marketers and communicators. If you don't know Christopher, he is the author of a great book, AI for Marketers, an introduction and primer. I've read the first. I'm almost through the second edition of it. I'd highly recommend it because AI is changing what we do. It's changing the way we live. It's here now. A lot of us don't really think about it. And so I'm going to ask you just to start with saying, what are some common AI myths?
So probably the two that I would start with are, one, the belief that it's magic. AI is not magic. AI is math. It is rooted in the sciences of statistics and probability, and it is all about essentially taking data that we already have at very large scale and turning it into actionable things, turning it into something that is a useful outcome. When you look at the number of interactions that you have, or you have, the number of social media conversations, or the number of articles in your space, you would run out of lifetime before you even read a fraction of them. But with machines being able to process this data and summarize and distill and boil down, we can take greater action. So I think one of the most important myths to dispel is it's not magic. It is math. It is all based in math. And that in some ways makes it less scary because you know what you're working with. The machine's never going to do something that is not rooted in the data it was given to train upon.
Okay. So what are some of the latest and greatest, or maybe not so greatest, things that are happening in AI, and how are those going to impact marketing and communication?
Probably the most important thing that has happened in the last 6 months, and it's early to mid 2019 as we record this, is what's been happening with language generation. So for decades, we have had language processing where you give a machine a piece of text and say, learn from this and be able to recognize keywords, phrases, sentiment, tone, grammar, and things. And we see applications of this all the time. Every time you use your smartphone and you dictate into it, it is doing both text. What has been a struggle for so long is language generation. Say to the machine, hey, great that you read 1 million press releases. Why don't you go write one? Right? And what has happened in the last 6 months is that thanks to initiatives like Google's Elmo and BERT language models and OpenAI's GPT-2, we now are really seeing major strides being made in the ability for machines to create coherent text, coherent language, short form, long form, that reads like a human wrote it, that is grammatically correct, that is intelligible. And that's going to radically change how marketing and communications work. Imagine never having to write another press release again. Imagine never having to write another blog post again. You just push a button and there's a blog post for the day. Or you push a button and there's 1 million blog posts for the day. That's what's going to be probably the next big thing for marketers and communicators to really wrap their heads around, the fact that a machine is going to write for them. It's going to write better than them, and is going to drastically increase the productivity of the marketing and the communications departments in ways that are frankly unforeseeable now. It will also usher in a content marketing arms race where companies that have technological advantages, the ability to use language generation, will be able to leapfrog all the competitors who don't, and be able to absolutely blow everyone out of the water. Because if you think about it, how long does it take you to write a blog post, or your company to write a blog post, or put up a YouTube video, or any of these things that requires language? If a machine can now create credible, authoritative, informational, educational, possibly even entertaining text at vast scales, how will you compete with a company that publishes 1 million blog posts a day?
Well, you can. So does that mean that all of us are going to be out of a job?
It means that some of us will be out of some parts of our job. There will still, one of the things I say in a lot of the keynote addresses I give is that in the future, there's going to be two kinds of jobs. Either you're going to manage the machines, or the machines are going to manage you. Obviously, the more lucrative and more entertaining job is for you to manage the machines. And for the savviest, most agile, lifelong learner, professionals, you're going to be the ones who manage the machines, who learn how to train them, learn how to work with them, learn how to amplify their abilities, learn how to curate their abilities. And that's going to be the probably one of the best jobs to have in the future.
Okay, that's great, and gives us a lot to think about. So we've got to stay curious. We've got to read AI for Marketers, an introduction and primer. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us, for answering our questions. You can find Chris at Trust Insights, a company, the analytics agency he co-founded, and also on Twitter at CS Penn. So till next time, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.